Good morning, it's 10 a.m. on Friday, February 9th, 2024. I call this meeting of the Wichita County Commissioners Court to order. Going to move the agenda around a little bit. We will handle discussion on the review board and board policies to the very end so that anyone who doesn't need or want to stay for that doesn't have to. So let's start with discuss and review jail maintenance projects and work orders. Chief?
Mainly just the work orders.
Also, I've been asked to have you come to the podium because sometimes the mics aren't catching you. Sorry.
Or you can sit up there.
Or I can sit
Yeah, or you can sit right at the table.
Good. So Cornerstone was out this week, and Brandon was out there with them, and the issue with the backup batteries, I think, has been resolved. We're gonna have to replace 30 of them, but Brandon's come up with a solution that's gonna actually save the county quite a bit of money. So I'll let him talk if you want to talk about it real quick.
We're just gonna replace the batteries in-house instead of buying the packs commercially. It'll reduce it from, it'll make the total replacement cost far less. But we'll just have my guys rebuild the battery packs.
The shelf life apparently is only like 3 years on them.
Correct. UPSs, you typically have a 4-year replacement cycle, but being as that they do generator tests and they're actually utilized at least once a month, it's gonna shorten the lifespan. So we should plan on a 3 to 3.5 year replacement cycle on the batteries.
So the approximate replacement cost was around $30,000.
Yes, sir.
Everything.
Yeah, there's 20.
What, original? Yeah,
Yeah.
not original.
Original, it's gonna come down to less than 6, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's 22 pack.
22 packs, and each pack has 12 batteries in it.
So 30,000 to 6,000?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yes.
like that.
If I do it.
Yeah, it worked out pretty good. So, but we also talking with Cornerstone on a couple of camera replacements. Even though we replaced the cameras, we have to upgrade the software because we're too far behind for the cameras to work. I don't have a cost yet for software upgrade.
It'll eat up that right there.
Yeah.
$24,000.
So, other than that, it's just regular routine stuff, nothing major.
But we're not having to replace as many cameras as
No,
what we
probably just
talked
maybe
about a
3
month ago,
at this point, so,
which is
Yeah.
more
Okay.
consistent with what you would expect
Yeah.
with a system like that.
Well, that kind of answers the question of how we have that massive.
that all of a
failure.
sudden, yeah, exactly.
That makes you feel better, like, you know, that kind of explains it. So-
I want to add that the UPSs weren't being monitored, and the particular brand that was put in, and it wasn't anybody's fault that they weren't, but the particular brand that they put in don't give any indication that the batteries are failing. Certain brands will beep and flash lights and not beep until you start replacing batteries. These didn't, they just quit working. But they are capable of being managed, so we're going to attach them to their own network that we can monitor, that will send us alerts and statuses on all the batteries to prevent this from ever happening again, so that we can know what the battery status is.
You know, they didn't have this problem with Mayberry.
Except for 2 cells too.
We just hang the key right beside the door and
Yeah.
we'll be done.
Yeah.
I was writing a few letters and, yeah.
Sorry.
Ammunition would be a
That's all I have
lot
on
cheaper if all we had one bullet too.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Accuracy may not be there, but
Okay.
That's all.
That's it?
yeah. Corey, it's yours now.
That was a quick review today.
Oh, it's not over.
Good work, Brendan.
All right. Any other questions, comments on jail maintenance projects, work orders? All right, let's move on to receive status report on salaries and overtime. 2 packets, a normal one and a special one. Yes, I wouldn't have needed to ask you that question, Corey, had I opened up the special one and seen the numbers before asking the question.
when was the normal one sent out?
Wednesday at 11:30 a.m.
Cheryl, I just saw this, oh. Do you have it?
Yeah, well,
I just saw this ARPA thing and it triggered a question. We had to send out that quarterly SLFRF report.
Yeah, it's January 31st it was done.
Okay, and it is quarterly? Okay.
Yeah, because our money is so high.
Our money that we still have unspent is so high?
Well,
Or the
no,
money
it's-
we received?
The money we received requires us to file quarterly.
Okay.
If we were under that $10 million, you only have to file annually, which would,
Yeah.
That's a good trade, let's file
Yeah,
quarterly.
we'll file quarterly for the extra money, but, yeah, okay.
it's just keeping up with their ever-changing rules.
In every department.
As they are on their third definition of the word obligated.
Yeah, they keep changing the rules of the game essentially in the middle of,
Of the game. So it's really hard. They now have to have a PO for everything that's ARPA related at this point.
Really?
Yeah, that's the newest definition as of like a few days ago. It was as of November 23rd, 2023 was, you had to have a contract for everything, and they have since modified that to now a PO or a budget,
It's an ARPA generated PO?
and anything to do with ARPA. If it doesn't have a contract, if we're doing work in our house, it has to have a purchase order.
Well, I know, but who's generating the purchase?
It'll have to come from our office, cause we're the only ones that can generate a purchase order, so. Yeah,
Do you feel that ARPA, the rules are being changed to try to claw back some money nationwide?
yes,
That's what I kinda,
yes,
they would love to get as many people that can't spend all that money and claw it back
yes,
whenever they can.
I agree.
If they haven't got it allocated, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
so, it's another reason why
Spend, baby, spend, till we get it
it was
going.
good that this court, I mean, prior to me coming on,
Yes, we
Allocated
pre-obligated, and most everything has a contract, except when, I mean, really, the only things that we have are the work that we're doing ourselves out at the tower site, so anything there has to have that PO before we start work. And then the only thing other concerning is the construction work that we're doing on a different contract that's not necessarily fully ARPA, and so I'm looking at how we're
Do
going
we
to handle that.
Aren't they going to begin relatively quickly?
yeah, I talked to Dwayne this morning, and I think they're looking at next week or two,
Right.
starting to work on the Bradley Ranch.
Right, but there's contracts on a lot
Yeah.
of that stuff, it's just like the stuff we did in-house.
Yeah.
That's why they've redefined that word obligated for a lot of counties that are doing work themselves instead of hiring somebody. Cause how do you write a contract with yourself?
Right.
If we don't have
Have a
the
blizzard
duration
on
of the
Sunday.
work to be done on the towers is very long, isn't it?
It's not.
Start to finish, 6 months or something.
Yeah.
Oh, less than
Yeah, it's
that.
less than that.
I thought it was pretty short.
Now, we do have to, install that equipment, generator set up, all of that kind of stuff. But
I do get asked quite a bit, Jeff, on the other, as far as the water project.
The
Yeah.
last, January was the last, update that I got on there, and, they were, putting the, RFP together. The engineer was at Corliss Probst, or whoever's working for Corliss Probst and Boyd now, after, who was it retired, the guy that we dealt with before? Who, what, Dean is gone, so they are putting that together to be let. And then Danny had gotten some, not proposals, but just time estimates. And it was flooring how quick they moved with that lay of that line. It was kinda shocking, cause, you know, we laid quite a bit, not that big of stuff, but it was shocking what Bowles told him, timeline was short. so.
Really, other than the road bores, you just walk it in, but. you
Yeah,
know,
there's,
and they roll
there's
on.
one low-lying area that's got an issue that they're trying to resolve right now, and it's out by, close to, Prairie Cottage Road or something. I didn't see it or look at it on the map, but it's progressing. And then when they do it, it'll move quick.
I get asked about it a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, people they're excited and anxious, so that's good.
Yeah, and we haven't paid out really, the only bills we've paid out are for the engineer at this
Yeah.
point, cause all of those bills get paid by my office
Yeah.
for that particular project because it's so expensive.
Chief, how's jailer positions trending?
We started several weeks ago. One never made it past the jailhouse door before he went over and said he didn't need to work there. And, yeah. So,
Well,
and then I think we got 3 starting quickly.
Monday, I believe.
Yeah,
who checked his mail?
so. Yeah, he never made it to the door.
Good heavens.
Bullet
Thank God,
dodge.
His girlfriend would have liked something else probably.
Right.
So he didn't ever get any money either?
No, he was on, he went through the
training.
Training.
The pay stuff, you know,
Oh,
he went
really?
through, yeah, he went through all that, and it was time for his first night on shift, and couldn't do it.
Wow. So we'll pay you not to work here too.
Corey, I think you may have explained this already, and if so, I apologize. For 560, 561, it looks like for all of them, the total hours more than doubled between the 118 and the 1-4 pay period. Is that because the 1-4 was split up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there should be a 1231 and a 140, you'd have to calculate
Put
them
them together.
together.
Okay, thank you.
They'll eventually fall off of there.
Our hours were up, but we had 200 additional hours of either sick or vacation taken by the jailer. We had a lot of people sick, and we also had a lot of sick inmates in and out of the hospital, required extra people to take them to the hospital and sit with them. Some were admitted, so we had a high number this month.
Okay. I know that was true in the general population, so I'd expect it to be true for y'all too.
There were a couple times we had 2, 3 there at a time, so.
You good? Still working? Okay. We're good.
You're good?
Good.
Good.
Any other questions, comments on salaries and overtime?
I wanna make one.
Yes, sir.
Real quick, and, Wilmer, this is Wilmer Munoz, he's gonna be eventually taking over the payroll. So he'll be attending these payroll sessions in the future, so do not take it easy on him.
Is it Wilmer or Wilbur?
The first one, Wilmer. with an M.
Wilmer, okay.
Wilmer's gonna be the most popular guy in the house, you can tell. Payroll guy.
Corey's got a smile on his face for some reason.
Yeah.
And that never happened.
What do you say?
She said, and that never happens.
Wilmer, where were you before this? Don't mind me
I worked as a math teacher for Old High.
Oh,
Okay.
wow, cool.
saying. Well,
Similar.
yeah, I was gonna
Well,
say
the,
that.
about the
the
same.
thing about Wichita County is that accounting jobs largely are not posted. So unless you know someone that knows of an accounting job that's open, it's very difficult to get an accounting job within this county.
Okay.
So
The
they
reason
find work elsewhere, like school teaching or.
Yeah, the reason I paused is I was trying to think of a funny quip about students and this group right here, but
Yeah.
that's, we'll leave that.
We use crayons too,
Yeah.
it's okay.
That gets sadly there.
Well, welcome to the county.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions, comments on salaries and overtime? All right, let's move to number 4, which is review and discuss regular bills.
Market's up.
Margaret sent this at 1:03 on Wednesday afternoon.
Wednesday.
Jury costs were down this week, 2 weeks. There was nothing, $8.
Well, wait till you get the next list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
It's
that-
2 jurors combined. She sent them boom, boom. There's like 263 of them, I think.
Easy come,
There you go.
easy go.
I'm telling you.
And the way they're running juries now sure seems to be working out a lot better.
It does, and it makes it, the new system makes it way easier for them to enter the invoices. And although it does not make it way easier to check them, it does make it easier to check them the way it's done. It's still, you have to look at every single one of them, but the entering of it, instead of us having to enter every one of them as a vendor in the system and enter every single person, that system.
We can just import
Yeah, we
hers.
just import it, boom, it puts it in there, and then majority of the time takes just checking it instead of, double or tripling that time.
Good. The entire system is working better.
It
Oh,
is,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Where are we on our rock hall? You know,
Oh, at least halfway, maybe more.
I think we're.
Are you
we're done.
through?
I think so,
Well,
yeah.
Jack wasn't sure. He told me he thought you were, but he
Yeah.
wasn't completely sure.
I think they finished up this week, so.
Mickey, they're still on you right now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Here's one load for you. and
Yeah.
one load for you. I never thought rock was gonna be in short supply, but here we are.
Our water bill for Lindemann is 282. Is that normal?
Extra fees, city needs money.
Well, I'm looking at some of these other, Lindemann has the museum that's only there part-time and running a couple of toilets and nothing else. That just seems,
I can look.
Did they flush the cooling system or anything?
no.
Mark?
It's half line running in.
There's 2 meters in there, fire suppression and regular.
Likely. Because if we're running that high, I need to probably check and
Yeah.
see if there's something
And how
running
much-
all the time, because it's,
What do we have for trash over there?
2 floors full of boxes.
I was gonna say the whole
Sorry.
building.
Do we have a
the whole building?
dumpster, do we have a dumpster like a full yard?
Yeah, we share a dumpster in the back.
I thought there was one back there.
We're sharing it with somebody? How does that?
Well, it's buildings, so museum is the
Oh.
one, mainly the one using it.
With that kind of water bill, you don't wanna drive up to the back door and have water running.
Yeah.
That just seems out of line.
That's generally, yeah, that's generally what it's running all of last year. There's some variances in it in like 276, 282, 531, 512, 577, 687, 660.
What are those you're
536.
reading us, Margaret?
Pardon me, the
Water
balance
bill.
of water bill for the Lindemann building?
660?
Mm-hmm,
That's a water bill for the Linderman of $660?
I think that's the one.
We'll use water cooling, but that'd be higher, a little bit more in the summer. But
Yeah.
right now in the winter, there shouldn't be anything
Yeah.
pulling water.
What's the base pay? because of the size of line going in.
Maybe so.
What's that?
Yeah, that
What's the bill
makes
say?
it a
I'm
bigger
looking- I'm
meter for
pulling
sure.
it up.
I'll have Rick just make sure we're not spinning the meter, running the toilet, or
Yeah,
whatever that we don't know about.
Toilet running all the time.
Could be, could happen up on the.
is there an ice maker over there or anything?
No,
I don't know if there is in the kitchen at the museum.
shouldn't be.
So base charge is
Yeah.
114,
Yep,
Your folks.
and trash is 120.
I'm gonna look at a higher one and see what it says.
Then
Well-
maybe we need to look at lowering the dumpster, maybe,
I
because
would,
there shouldn't be any trash.
I
to
would get
speak
rid of that trash. I would get me a poly cart over there, in a commercial cart, and that's overkill and everybody else is just using it.
Or if we keep a dumpster, it just needs to be dumped once a week,
Yeah, that's what it.
It's probably set up
at
on
the
3
most.
times a week right now.
probably, and they're not dumping anything,
But I think
Up
you
to
could
the
get a
empty
2 yard instead of a 4 yard and
yeah,
drop it.
okay. I'll check into that, because that's, we're paying a lot of money for nothing.
Yeah, one of the higher ones, the water part of it was 176. The base charge there must have been low as an older bill, 108, so they're going up just on their charges.
Yeah, well, I know they went up, all their water charges
Yeah.
went up January 1, but
And then the trash was 113 on this one, sewer was 87, stormwater's 26.
Does it say how many cubic feet of water on there?
43, well, not the current one, let me look at, sorry, I was just looking at some older ones for you guys, let me look at the current one. And I'll tell you.
just can't imagine using any
It's 200,
this time of year.
Nope, see,
200 cubic feet.
Judge is all
200.
over it, y'all even see, y'all, he's a good munis user.
But yeah, I mean, looking at the consumption history chart, it's all the water usage is all the cooling for.
In the summertime,
Summertime.
which would make sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be a high evaporation deal.
So I don't think we have a leak. I think we have just expensive
We have expensive trash.
trash.
Yeah.
Expensive trash.
What's that building's
Expensive
known
water.
for?
Right.
Expensive trash.
What'd you say?
That's what that building's known for, is expensive trash.
Yeah, I thought all the trash was inside of it, I didn't think they were taking any of it.
That's the problem. Maybe that
That's
dumpster would be
where all the
warranted if we
furniture
actually
goes to
thought
die,
things
right?
in it.
We need to, yeah.
Oh, it really ends up with this brick.
Maybe we should have like a flea market.
Well, we gotta post it and try to sell it, and so, yeah,
County road sale.
just open up a deal.
Everything's a quarter.
But I think we'd have
Is that
one of
what
those
we're paying
negative
them?
situations.
Right.
It's more of a negative bid.
Yeah.
Can't have a negative.
You just bundle it, you get something somebody wants and add something we cannot get rid of and sell it super cheap, that's what you do, and you get rid of all of it.
Do it like the junk store on Southwest Parkway. It's $10 on the first day, $8 in the second, and $6.
1,482 gallons of water, and it's really just high.
For this time of year, I just can't imagine us using anything. The museum's not even hardly open.
1,420 gallons.
1,482, and like.
For a month, that ain't bad.
No, because
No.
minimum on a gallon system, about 3,000 gallons minimum before you even pay.
could get that United States Treasury off our back, we'd really be cooking. Or I guess our employees would be cooking.
14 sheets of lawyer charges.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've hit the end of the year, so they're all trying to get their stuff in.
We are a courthouse.
What was Cherokee County expense for charity court costs?
That's gonna be I think the county clerk, they serve papers, and they need us to cut a check to them so they can send it with the service of their papers, so they'll send us a request, ask us to send it, that's where the person lives. And so they'll get the check sent to them, they'll send it with the paperwork to whoever's serving it in Cherokee County. The DA's office does the same thing from time to time.
But that's a lot of paper for $5.40 per times
Oh, I'm
3.
sorry, I misunderstood what you said. That's court cost that we owe another county. I think for incapacitated person, I believe. We don't pay those very often. They're normally in Wilbarger County. I don't know why it's in Cherokee County, but we did call and verify with Annette Stanley that we do need to pay those.
Do we have some of those in reverse?
Yes, we have, in fact, a very large amount, and both county clerks folks, Linda and Laura over there, have been working with Morgan. We've actually been going out and getting some past due ones, and we've had a number of counties paying already. So, but yeah, we're much larger on the opposite end of that spectrum, because
Yes.
anytime someone from outside the county is at the state hospital, and we do court costs here, we charge them.
Yeah, it's doing those court costs. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. You are very rare. We
Okay.
don't do them very often at all. Maybe once a year, if that.
I was wondering if it had been a juvenile maybe who was but it was not. It was forensic meds, it says here, so.
Where's Cherokee County?
I don't know. You know where Cherokee County is,
I thought it was down around Stephenville, is it not?
I'll look.
I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, there shouldn't be anything in
Just
that
can't
line,
place
so it
it.
should just be out of uniform expense.
Yeah, but it should go back first. That city 5,000. There's nothing been taken out of it, but another one on the second page has $1,000.
Which, is it?
It's 561.
Yeah, we do it by whoever it is.
Yeah, but it's
So.
Rusk.
I'll look at it.
Rusk.
Where, Rusk?
Rusk.
Oh, that's the,
East.
yeah,
Where is that?
there's a state hospital out there.
Yep, sure is.
About
was
where
the-
is,
the
where's
state
that
hospital
close
at
to?
one time. That's
Was.
where all the criminal
South,
East.
east, down,
It's east. It's,
hold on.
It's East Texas?
yeah, Russ.
130 miles southeast of Dallas,
Yeah,
between
south-
Dallas and Houston.
Southeast of Dallas.
The biggest town is Jacksonville.
Okay. I've been through Jacksonville.
It's in East Texas.
Between Tyler and Lufkin. All right. Y'all still looking? So it's fine. Just
No.
checking. You still looking, Jeff?
No, I'm.
So over by Palestine, maybe we can get President Xi to open the gates.
Any questions or comments on the regular bills? This left side of the table's feeling feisty this morning.
Just this morning?
Yeah. Questions or comments? Okay, then let's move to, we'll bring that back, item number 1. Discuss creation of Wichita County Accident Incident Review Board and board policies. Again, no one will look askance if anyone chooses to depart at this time. All right, let me introduce this real quick, and then I'll ask Chief Rutledge to kind of come up and give an overview. So the chief approached me with this idea back November, December of last year, as an attempt to help introduce some third-party accountability, and to establish some expectations and parameters for reviewing collisions within each department. So he worked hard. He went back and took a lot of this from City of Wichita Falls policy, created a draft of this, and then took it and got feedback from sources across the county, and a lot of that feedback's reflected in this document that we have before us today. Commissioner Beecham also has offered a number of revisions that are included in this document, including expanding its focus from just collisions to also personal injury incidents and other things that have a potential liability impact on the county and may have a long tail on costs to us and affect how we do operations. Commissioner Muller, you always ask a good question on some of this stuff, which is, what's the point? And I think the point on this one is, for vehicles, it's so that we can be reviewing our collisions and gathering information so that if we have a problem, whether it's in training of a specific department or people, or maybe maintenance issues somewhere, or we just see that we have a deficiency we need to correct, this helps establish that and bring more people into the loop, so we've got a uniform way of knowing that, and so that we can address it. And then on the incident side, the same thing is true. A lot of times we could have a problem with training or oversight or whatever across multiple departments, but they're not talking to each other. We don't see it, and this would allow one body to be seeing all of that and to potentially make changes, whether it's policy, training, whatever it might be, to do that. And it also introduces some accountability, which we'll talk about with the point system and all of that.
And it also makes that information available to Commissioners Court.
Yeah, and that was what I was gonna say. And Commissioner Beecham had added some new things in here so that quarterly reporting would be, as a result of this board, would be made available to the whole court, so that we would also be seeing what's going on.
I had a question on mail. Do we implicate ourselves at all? Let's say board convenes, says Johnny's totally at fault, and this wouldn't have happened had Johnny not done what he did on behalf of Wichita County. Can insurance ever take that and run with it?
I'm sure they can, yeah. It'll be available and it'll end up being public information. It's just like creating a file for a lawyer, and that's what, no way around that. If you got a negligence action, then there's gonna be determinations made. Now, can that be admissible in court? That may be a different question, but is this something that if we have a third party wreck, like a car wreck, and there's a third party injured and they go get a lawyer, they're gonna be all over whatever the board does, and they're gonna be looking at it and trying to get information from it, and and there's not much we can do about that.
I think there's two things in response to that. The first is, I reached out to Ernesto and got a response, and forwarded that along to Melvin. Also, as our insurer, what's their take on this? And there wasn't pushback against doing this. It was focus on not culpability necessarily, but where deficiencies might be in place that you can fix. Because the other side of that is that if we do have problems, just not knowing about them is also introducing a risk too.
Ernesto seemed concerned about culpability. He was concerned about that, about us making determinations about people's culpability for this very reason. So, he didn't really it wasn't a real detailed response. He sent us a little email back.
But what about not so much from third party, but our own party? So would our
if we have workers'
risk
comp,
pool ever say, guys, we're not paying for that? He backed that off, totally not paying attention, and the board said.
I took what their response was being affirmative, that we should have some.
Yeah, I took the same thing.
They didn't have a problem with it, but they warned us about the culpability issues.
Huh.
I don't think they're gonna have a problem with our own people if they get hurt. They're not gonna, they're not gonna get upset with us for looking into what our own, for our workers' comp or something like that.
Right.
They're not gonna have a problem with that, I don't think. But
Wouldn't they come after that information anyway, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
They're gonna get it.
Tried to.
Well,
Just
Yeah.
make it easier.
No, you're right. You're right about that. And I mean, all of this has to comply with the open meetings laws. There has to be minutes kept. There has to be, well, we have to somewhat be concerned with talking about our own employees' business publicly that way. And we have to notice it all. We have to do all of those things. So it'll have to be closed sessions at times. I mean, there's going to be some things to navigate with it on that front too. So.
Would this committee have authority to take action?
I mean, to me, I don't think they could force an elected official to fire somebody.
Well, go ahead. I'll let you-
Well, for one, I sat on accident incident review board for the city for years, so I'm very familiar with the process, procedure, et cetera, from both sides of the aisle, from having an incident reviewed and from being on the review board. When an incident is reviewed, it's generally pretty cut and dry that the driver didn't do everything reasonably possible to prevent the accident. So that's gonna be a given when we're sued or brought in. So I don't see it heightening our liability in any way, because it's gonna be an obvious, just having that accountability, I think, is very important. That for one, we can go back and track the accidents, we know what's happening, we know if everything's being done to prevent. We have a problem with maintenance, we're not taking care of our brakes. We've had 3 accidents because we've had brake failures, and none of us on this court will ever know that. So, I mean, this is a way to be more proactive, so that it enhances our ability, so.
And Barry, there's language in there that basically says the elected official, has the ultimate decision-making authority concerning
Yep.
discipline matters.
Yep.
And that's,
So it would
Yep.
be more of a suggestion then?
It's
Or-
advisory.
Well, until you get to the 10-point level, and then it would be a loss of all driving privileges, because it would be deemed
Liability to
a
the
liability to the county to have that person drive until those points are cleared off the record.
and that's what I'm just gonna struggle with this. Elected officials here, it's like our personnel policy. You can do what you wanna do with it, but can you enforce it? Because really and truly, that accident review board needs to have authority to make determination and not get stopped by the elected official. I can see a problem with it in the future on that end of it.
Well, our biggest department that's involved with driving is sheriff's office, and they're the ones that initiated the request, so I don't see that.
I mean, I agree, I mean,
But we do have others, and I don't know how you compel an elected official to do anything.
So walk me through a typical scenario,
Before we do that,
or maybe, I don't get ahead.
well,
Yeah.
so, Chief, would you just provide a 30,000-foot overview of the board's organization and how this process is gonna work?
So you have your 5 board members, like any other board, is the voting board. And then, of course, they'll have a designee in case they can't be there for the board meeting. It'd meet once every 3 months or 4 times a year, review what happened the previous 3 months. And they would have the accident report or the incident report already on hand, so they'll have the review. A lot of it's gonna be done by risk management. They're gonna have everything ready for the board. They'll be in charge of, the majority of this will be handled by the board or by risk management. So they'll present the case, and then based on the findings of the case, and of course, the person involved in the accident will be invited to the board, or will be attending the board. So they can give their part if they have anything to say or not to say. Mark, and I know Mickey and I have all probably been in front of the Action Review Board at the city. I don't know, for sure you have, but I have been. And, you know.
You're there whether it's your fault or not. If you're
Yeah.
involved in a vehicle accident.
You know,
somebody
it's
rear-ends you,
accountability.
you're-
Let's just say we would suspect it.
Yeah. It's accountability, and the sheriff's department already has a policy for accountability on accidents, and it's a guideline, and it's not as strict as this one. And we do a really pretty good job of disciplining our own. But we felt like it should be a countywide, everybody under the same rules, same game. So, and of course, we obviously have more wrecks than anybody. We have more cars in the fleet, more cars on the street 24 hours a day. So the policy outlines the organization, the responsibilities of the members, and the responsibilities of the risk management, what their responsibilities are. And it also talks about preventability, and then it goes into what the board is supposed to do. The guidelines for the board, and then afterwards, if it's the board finds it's preventable and chargeable, then it'll be assessed a point, depending on what value it is. If it's an incident that's real preventable, it's 1 point automatically. It's listed, I don't have the page numbers, it's about halfway back. But it also talks about damage caused to vehicles or property, so depending on how much damage you cause, you'll receive points for that. If it's injury, your injury or somebody else's injury, you can receive points for that. So basically what they're trying to do is if that person's obviously a liability to the county and they rack up a bunch of points, they shouldn't be driving a car. In our case, we can actually take, say, a patrol officer who does reach the 10 point, we can put them back in the jail. We can put them in courthouse security with no driving privileges. So we have other things we can do with our deputies. But in some cases, we may have to terminate them. Just depends what the accident is. So
We also discussed the most egregious, worst case accident that we have currently, recently, and it did not reach the 10-point level.
It's close.
Worst case scenario. It was close, but if we were in judgment on a board looking at that accident, it would not have reached.
and those points stay on your record for 2 years. And if you have another wreck in that 2-year period, you automatically assessed a point because you had a previous one. So you may get to that 10 point. But then at the 2-year point, those original ones would fall off. And you would go back to driving if we choose to. So, and it also talks about the right to appeal, how you go through the appeal process. And then they can actually appeal the appeal back to the judge who has the final say. And again, it puts it back on the elected official to hopefully follow these guidelines, but they do have the ultimate say on how they deal with their employee.
So on that question there, the appeal grievance portion. Mel, let's say that have a backhoe operator and he knocked out a window. Said, we can't be doing that. Don't curl the bucket this way with something on there. He knocks it out again 3 weeks later. I said, thank you, we'll see you later, we're going a different direction. Am I in a jam because we have a appeals process that I didn't ever allow him to go through?
No.
Okay.
No, but it would allow the board to say, hey, this guy's an accident, he's a hazard, you really need to look at possibly terminating, here's our recommendations, so.
I can tell you, I had an accident, and I went through the appeal process. I went through to the board, and I received like 7 points, ungodly amount of points. I appealed it based on the fact that they didn't apply the proper traffic code to that accident, and I got all my points back. So there is an appeal process, and it does work. Then 2 weeks later, I backed into a pole, and I didn't. I took my points and went on about my way. So, yeah.
That's karma.
I appealed it.
But it was only 1 point, not 7 points.
I was just thinking, well, if you had 7 points, I'd be afraid to drive home.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
And I tell you,
Well,
that's
yeah.
one good thing about this. When you're in, there's accident review board and you have points on you, that's the ultimate goal, is
Makes you
to
more
affect your
careful.
driving.
Yeah.
You're gonna try to be more careful because you don't wanna lose your job, and there is a process in place. I mean, my very first day on patrol, I wrecked a brand new car. I backed into a pole, same kind of thing, but a
Were they
cement,
gonna
a
raise
cement,
the poles all over
a
the-
cement.
Well, this was at the old general hospital,
Oh,
underneath
okay.
that big concrete pole was just in a blind spot.
that call.
Well, no, there was 4 officers already there. They
Oh,
just-
okay, never mind.
When you
all
wreck
saw
your
it.
FTO's
Yeah,
brand new Crown Vic on day 1, he had it like 2 days.
who was it?
Tidwell.
Okay.
And, you know, in front of Amigos, there's the old bar, there's a little concrete pole extension, the concrete where the people backed in the poles so many times, they just built out concrete or wide. Well, it works, it don't let you hit the pole.
Yeah.
But you can't see it in a mirror either, it's
You
below
know,
your car.
And in some of the discipline we've handed out in the past in the sheriff's office has been, we've made the deputy attend DDC at their expense on a Saturday in uniform. So,
Question, cause it looks like points only roll off after 2 years, is there not a way to expedite that if they were to take a defensive driving class?
No,
no,
Okay.
actually, if you're involved in an accident in this policy, you will take a DDC course. But also we've been I spoke to the judge and Jeff. We've reached out to a company that will come do like 5 sessions at the LEC in May for 8-hour course of DDC. And we can run anybody we want to run through the county. And it's like $35 a head for the course. So we could get all our county drivers through a DDC course if we wanted to.
so at the city, anyone that drove a vehicle is required to take DDC every 3 years, so.
Which does help on your insurance.
It
It does, you
And
get
the
10%
city was-
reduction of your insurance.
But isn't there some of y'all that can teach the DDC?
No,
Really?
no. I think somebody used to have a license, but they
Yeah.
let it lapse.
Yeah, I taught for
Certificate.
20 years. Don't wanna do it again.
But that may be something we look in the future, trying to find somebody that we can get to send to a trainer course.
So that's the broad impetus behind the program. Right now, it's scheduled to be on the agenda for Tuesday for us to discuss creating the board and then adopt policies. So everyone will have time to look at it over the next few days before Tuesday. And
Is Kenneth the keeper of the points?
yeah,
Yes.
Kenneth, do you want to just briefly talk about what your role is as the risk management coordinator in this?
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's outlined pretty well in here, but essentially I'm just going to put together packets, information for all of the board members to go over, assess, and use that as our determination for points and preventable, non-preventable, all that. So I'll keep track of the points that are required and pretty much just be the point guy on the whole thing, so.
Question, are you gonna get called to the scene, take pictures?
I don't know on that one. That's a good
Because,
question.
I mean, at city, that's what,
Yeah,
somebody has to
I
come out and
guess
take
Now,
pictures.
as a policy, our policy is if they have a crash, we call CID out to take photographs and everything. So, but we could refer.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it'd be smart to put him on call overtime all the time. If a building maintenance truck backs into a pole
Yeah,
and we
he needs
need
to go there.
pictures,
Sure, he'd be the guy.
he would go during the day, but if it's 8 o'clock in the evening, do you have somebody on duty that could go out and take
They
pictures?
usually call CID out to do it, yeah.
I mean, I don't wanna call overtime. I mean, is there somebody on duty in the evenings? that would
The
come out?
the patrol supervisors have cameras, they also take, sometimes they'll take the camera. If it's a serious accident, we'll call CID.
Yeah.
If it's an accident, just hit a pole, something, the supervisor will take.
I'd hate to cause
Yeah.
you overtime or your overtime if it's not really needed. A patrol sergeant
Yeah.
take pictures.
It is written for the supervisors, can
And
take
that-
cameras, and it's a
and-
serious accident or
Those,
injury, then.
those are
CID
details we
will.
really need to work out, is
Yeah.
we do need to document these accidents, whether it's road and bridge, whether it's adult
Yeah.
probation. I know y'all do a great job with y'all's, but we really have very little documentation on
On
our.
anything.
But if you're gonna do a
County.
review board, then there needs to be on-site pictures
Right.
for them
Yeah.
to review.
And-
That makes a big difference in doing it.
And I'll tell you how valuable on-site pictures are taken by our staff.
Right.
My one incident that I've sat across the table and had reviewed, I had to file an appeal based on faulty evidence. The evidence that was presented was photographic, and it was not pictures that were not pictures that were taken by the city, it was pictures taken by an insurance company, which were wrong. They were not of the same vehicle that hit. And I got charged with an exorbitant amount of points for basically a tiny little fender bender that didn't even deploy airbags.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should have our
So,
own
yeah,
documentation.
it's a,
So, yeah, I mean,
it's
I
a
don't
very
have a problem.
important element.
Yeah, I don't have a problem doing that. It's
But
good.
also, on his responsibilities will be to review all the accidents, incidents, collisions, incidents, sorry. Collisions and incidents beforehand, and anything that's deemed non-preventable, he can prejudge that and provide that information to the board, and we can pull it back out.
What?
So
Explain that
if-
to me.
If it was, you were parked in the parking lot and somebody come and just run over you while you're parked, and he can say, well, that was obvious, our guy didn't do anything to create that incident. He can say, yeah, it was not anywhere, anything that we could have done differently.
He didn't have to go before the review.
He didn't have to go
board.
before the review
it's
board.
not
Now,
good.
as a review board, we can take a look at that determination and say, oh, well, there was something else maybe, and maybe we want to look at that, we want to open it up, and it would go the next time out.
To some degree, those would all be handled kind of like a consent agenda.
Yeah.
They're all lumped into one early report. Everyone can still see everything that's in it that's on the board. You can pull stuff out if you think it should be.
We don't want to review every time somebody gets a Band-Aid, but we do want to review every time somebody goes to the hospital.
Yeah, and one of my deals that I would like to see us, and I don't know how the whole document reads on it, but so right now, Kenneth, let's say Will has a wreck, Patrick sends the insurance stuff to Debbie. Are you seeing any of that whatsoever? So you don't know even the extent of the damage?
No, that's also what we discussed the other day, was receiving that information and how we were going to get that. So, I mean,
So
as of now, I don't.
Let's say, just for this instance, I'm got an employee, he's backing tractor out of the carport area. Somebody pulls up, he slams on the brakes but misses both of them and just hits one. The tractor slings and knocks 2 poles out from under my shed. Building damage only, didn't hurt the tractor.
I mean,
Who's working that one?
It would fall under, it's still damage to county property, so, yeah.
It's a property damage incident,
Yeah.
so.
And
it would
so
come
how
under-
are we gonna flow that to then Nancy for insurance on work, or how will that work?
I think it would work the same way it does now,
Yeah,
with
you
an
notify-
extra recipient of all of the information.
Right.
And somehow Nancy will know that there's a property damage,
Well, right now, how is Nancy finding
Yeah.
out?
we'd have to tell her.
Yeah, you would report the incident at the time to risk management, and he would come out and take photographs of that
Yeah.
damaged poles. So then you already have it generated, and it would flow through the system.
Yeah, I'm scared in a lot of instances we're not. That's my problem.
Exactly.
And like, I can show you quite a few pickups with ding tailgates in them where somebody didn't let the, or get the gooseneck cranked up high enough and backed right into it.
Right.
Does that ever get told about? I don't think so. So that kind of thing is occurring, and we need to make sure we encourage
That's a
that.
reportable incident.
Any damage to vehicles supposed to be reported? That's what my other question was what's the dollar amount, even at city, under a certain dollar amount is not reported?
$100,000, it was 0 points.
What?
Under 1,000.
Yeah.
But
So-
any damage is
For any
reportable.
damage,
Any
all
damage.
damage is
And
reported.
Yeah.
who is the key, and this is my bigger question, you're the risk management guy, right? So are you determining, if you get to the scene, the amount of the damage, or are you the one determining whether or not there needs to be a breathalyzer or a blood test? Because I won't tell you.
No,
If
it's
it's a
serious.
driving
We're going,
incident,
period.
Yeah.
That's automatic.
It's a driving
Automatic.
incident, yeah.
Yeah.
Already
Any
If you're
damage.
driving a motorized vehicle, it's an
It's already in
automatic.
the
Yeah,
book.
that's a
Okay.
set in stone kind of thing, right?
That just help reinforce that
Right.
if you were on the scene, or,
Yeah,
Well, or follow up, make sure
Yeah.
that it's done.
but
yeah. No, I get that information currently, so I don't see that being an issue going forward already. So anytime there's any sort of on-the-job incident, if it's driving, I automatically get all that information
Yeah.
when they go test and all that, so that's not
It's gonna be
getting that
up to-
information is not
It's gonna be up to the supervisor, your foreman, our supervisors, to make sure that's reported and done and taken to, he's notified, and then we'll take our guy to the hospital and have him do the test, so. And then it's up to y'all how y'all do it.
Yeah,
The
we,
foremen are real good about immediately. They put them, the foremen drive them to usually DATC and they get their drug screen done there.
we did change the values higher than what the city of Wichita Falls
Yeah.
does.
Two headlights for Tahoe's $3,500, so,
Really?
yeah, $1,700 a piece for a headlight.
Jeff was mentioning tailgate damage, that could be a $2,000
Yeah.
bill.
Sure.
Our,
Yeah.
city
camera in
of
there.
Wichita Falls is 500 as starting points, and figured we knocked down a mailbox, and that's 500 easily.
Yeah, we increased it significantly the other day.
Yeah, so, didn't wanna unnecessarily punish, I mean, particularly, we're always knocking on mailboxes, but we do need to review that. Say, hey, this guy's hit 5 mailboxes this year, he needs to.
I do think this is also an opportunity, to your point on the property damage thing. We might, in conjunction with whatever we decide on this, send out a countywide blast reminding folks of who all should be notified of what and when on every incident, because it never hurts to make sure everyone knows what they're supposed to do.
But those three especially
Yep.
need to be in the same loop all the time on incidents. Kenneth sharing with them and them sharing with Kenneth.
Yeah,
So-
just transparency and sharing documents and information is.
So there are too much
You
information.
can
Right.
probably create an email group for accidents or.
Yeah, there you
risk
go.
management, a group that has everybody, just go to that group and it goes to everybody
Right.
automatically.
At some point, my
Well-
office needs to get put in there, cause we receive the money and pay
Yeah.
bills, so.
What was done at the city when the policy was amended, we put a little card in every vehicle, little fact sheet, who to call
That
in
happens.
case of an accident, and the procedures, what to do.
Yeah.
So it was just business card size, and
Yeah.
went and,
Yeah.
most of them were laminated to the dashboard, but we put them in the glove box or whatever.
Something I'd like to add, just the regular incident reports for workers' comp. I think this is gonna help with employees who know there's something else out there for accountability. You wouldn't believe some of the things that get reported and, and the claims that come in. I stepped off a curb a year and a half ago and my knees bothered me ever since.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's time for a knee replacement, and Sedgwick, for the most part, pays it. We're paying it. And what happened to, you have 48 hours to turn this incident report in. The other is multiple accidents on one wet floor. I mean, and it's,
At the same
or,
time.
when they fill in,
Tell later.
yeah, were safeguards, in place, and they always put no, but then their answers would be, what could have been done to prevent the accident? Don't run on a wet floor.
Yeah.
And I just wanna go, but or a lot of them will put no medical attention, and then, the weekend gets there and they decide they need to go to the emergency room. And then they go to, we don't get anything, it says no medical care. But I think if they know, ooh, I'm gonna get called in for this, because we're gonna pay the ER on the weekend, and if I'm gonna get called in, maybe I'll use an ice pack and see if it's gonna get better by Monday.
So Tanya, are you asking to make sure that, to add to this, that a supervisor, anytime there's any sort of incident whatsoever that might involve workers' comp in the future, it becomes part of the reporting?
Yes, because it's in here for just incidents,
Yeah.
and that's the kind of thing, and a lot of times, people think that when they have an accident and it's, I get paid workers' comp, but at the minute they find out that they have to use 7 days worth of their own sick time or vacation, whatever they've got in their bank, or no pay, they decide they're better and they wanna go back to work. We've had that happen, and if they know that somebody else is going to be looking, and then we have our frequent flyers. How many times? And a lot of them are off camera, nobody knew, I didn't really report it. And so this way, it goes before that board. And I think that would stop a lot of the,
That's why.
I'm not trying to deny any
all
medical
incidents
care at
were
all, I'm
included
just
in the
saying,
policy.
you know,
But that allows us to make corrections to if there's an area that
Yeah.
is deficient and needs to be either in camera view, or we need to make sure we've got
Yeah,
signs.
if there's a
or
particular
little
place where we're
things.
slipping and falling all the time, then maybe we need to look at putting traction and flooring in, or
Right.
We need to
whatever.
have no running on a wet floor
But if
training.
that never makes it
I think they
to
make signs for
a
that.
supervisor or maintenance.
The yellow ones?
Yeah, yeah, if we, no one
Sleep
ever knows,
with inmate ones, so they can put that.
Yeah, we have
too.
those.
if it's never coming up the food chain to Will or Ricky or whatever to make a correction,
as far as the jail goes, lieutenants are good about fixing, but, you know,
Yeah.
they get the report after the
then.
injury's
I'm
already
not trying to pick
occurred.
on those jails.
Yeah, but we got
But
5
yeah,
other buildings or
Uh,
6,
yeah.
whatever.
Too many buildings.
So,
Okay.
On the, item, 3 there, or under 2, shouldn't that, commercial drivers have, reasonable suspicion training, to be, instead of just a random, Class B or C holder?
We can put them through reasonable suspicion.
Yeah, we
But
can do that
the
through
re-
tag.
You do
Yeah.
that already, right? You just
Yeah, I
had a
just have
class
to set it
recently.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, the reason I thought it was important to have a commercial driver, because we have, or like a road and bridge, they have a completely different set of hazards than what would be faced with a sheriff's deputy.
and they are all newly, did we do reasonable suspicion?
No, we didn't. do
No,
this
we did
time.
that last year.
It's,
Okay.
every
Yeah.
Probably-
3 years,
Mhm.
so we can
So they're
do
all
it
current.
if they don't have it, but yeah.
Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to have everybody.
That's what I was
do
gonna
it.
say,
Yeah.
next, that is an extra requirement
Yeah.
for any board member. Who may not already take it.
Go through it every 3 years.
Mhm.
I'm good.
You're good?
I'm good.
I think it was done last year, so.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments, additions, suggestions, edits?
I think Kenneth wants to remind the commissioners of something he has on Monday.
Oh, yeah, flagger
Flagger
training,
training.
yeah. So that's Monday, 8:30, precinct 2.
Precinct 2. I'm gonna have to
Do you have everybody's info?
skip work for the
Have
whole week,
ever-
'cause I'm gonna be tied up.
Everybody turned in who their guys are?
I have one more I'm waiting on, it might be in my email right
Okay.
now, so, but besides that, yeah. I just had to, they send material for 25 people, so, which we should be well under 25, but. just to
You
make
know,
sure.
statistically, flagging is one of the more dangerous,
Sure.
it may be the most dangerous job in this county.
It is,
From a-
and we-
From a statistical.
We need to do a better job of doing training.
That's good.
Dismissed.
Thank you, Ken.
No, yeah, I understand.
All right, any,
Thank Kenneth and Will for putting in so much work in this.
yeah, they really did, do the lion's share, and then Commissioner Beecham also spent a lot of time.
I knew we had-
made some
Yeah, no,
good
I
changes.
understand.
All right, it is